everybody. In this video we're going to be looking at the metric system, just kind of how to wrap your head around the metric system and how to easily convert. Alright, so the metric system is actually a much easier system to work with than the English system that I think most of us are used to if you're born and raised in the States. So the metric system is a base 10 system, which means it's a lot easier because everything is just either multiples of 10 or you divide by 10. It's a lot easier, okay? You just move decimals. We'll get there, okay? They also have base units, which are basically things without prefixes, okay? And their base units are going to be gram, liter, and meter. Gram, lowercase g, liter, uppercase L, meter, lowercase m, okay? Gram, liter, meter. And there's no prefix for it. And then when you want to talk about kind of scale, so if there's something that's larger or smaller, then you're going to add a prefix to your base unit, okay? So, and you know this, right? So instead of a meter, right, if you had like a yardstick, or a yard is about a meter, so if you have a meter stick, right, 3 feet-ish, a meter versus something that's very long, something much longer would be like a kilometer, a kilometer, right? So if I do km, kilometer, now I have a prefix talking about a distance, right? So kilometer. Instead of a liter, I would have a milliliter. I have something very small, a milliliter of something, as opposed to a full liter of something. You get it, okay? So you will add in these prefixes before your base units, telling you either how big or how small that thing is, okay? It gives you a sense of scale. So the way that I was taught to learn the metric system is a moniker, an acronym, a moniker, whatever, a little trick to help you remember. And I still remember many, many years later. So hopefully this will also help you, okay? I learned it by King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Okay, so King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, okay? And each one of these letters represents a prefix, okay? Except for the B that you circle. I like to circle it just so I remember. This is my base unit, which means no prefix. Okay, so B is your base unit. This is going to be just gram, liter, or meter, okay? No prefix. All the other ones will tell you kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, and milli. I'm a terrible speller. It might be 1 L, it might be 2. You look it up. Either way, milli, milliliter, milliliter. Okay. So we have King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, okay? And if I remember this, because these are the most common prefixes used, or base unit, of course, I should be able to easily convert between any metric number that falls within this space, okay? We'll get to things beyond this in just a second. So I'm going to save this so I don't screw it up. All right, so if I had a random number, 1.18 kilometers is how many centimeters? Okay, and I need to now convert this, right? I'm starting in kilometers. I need to get my answer in centimeters. What I do right away is write out, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Okay, and I write where I start. So I'm starting right here on kilometer. So I put a little dot where I start. You can do whatever you want. Okay, I put a dot right underneath the letter that I'm starting at. And I put a little star where I want to go. Here's my goal. Okay, and now I look at what happens to my decimal. So I like to put a dot because I think in my mind that it's my decimal. So all I'm going to do, because this is base 10, so every time I move my decimal, it's like I'm multiplying by 10. Okay, it just shows me how many places I move my decimal. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get to my target prefix. Okay, and you literally just hit those letters. Okay, so if I had 1.18, I'm going to take that decimal and move it 5 places to the right. Okay, so it started here and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my decimal ends up here. Any kind of empty swoops, any empty decimal place movements gets filled with zeros. And that's it. Then you have 118,000 centimeters. Easy. All right, so you can also go the other direction, all right? So in this example, 42 milliliters is how many liters? All right? Anytime I'm switching in metric system, I want to make my King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, okay? And in this case, I'm starting at milli, okay? I'm starting in milliliters, and I want to end up in liters. And if I'm looking, there's no L, all right? So like, oh God, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. No, just remember, right? There's no prefix here. This is my base unit, so I want to get to my base unit. All right, so I take my decimal and I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 places, in this case, to the left. So I started with 42 mils. My decimal place would be beyond the 2, and I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3 places to the left. Any empty swoop gets filled with a 0. And so my decimal's right here. So my answer is 0.042 liters. Usually you'd say like 0.042. Same number, right? You just want to have something in front of your decimal, okay? But there you go. Very easy to, move between your metric system. Metric system doesn't just end with kilometer and millimeter, okay? Like kilo or milli, right? There are things that are bigger than a kilo. There are things that are smaller than a milli, all right? So let's look at the kind of expanded metric system now, all right? So if we look at kind of the expanded one, I'm going to try and squish this in the middle. You're the one that we just learned, right? King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's in the middle, all right? Then beyond kilo, we don't label every single place value. Instead, now we go by threes. So you could imagine, right, from, use a different color. Hopefully this will help you. From base to get to kilo is 1, 2, 3 places over. Okay, so the next prefix that we care about beyond kilo is going to be 3 places over, and everything is 3 places from now on. So 1, 2, 3 beyond kilo. You should actually know this if you work on computers at all. It's going to be mega, like a megabyte. And then 1, 2, 3 places beyond mega is going to be a gigabyte. Or a giga anything, right? Byte would be your base unit. Now you have a megabyte, a gigabyte, and beyond giga, 3 more beyond giga, would be a terabyte, or tera, okay? So, kilo base, all right? So really, once you go beyond your King Henry died little section, okay, then just remember that it goes in groups of 3, okay? So, don't get mixed up thinking that it's only, 1 jump from kilo to mega. It's 3, 1, 2, 3 jumps, okay? All right, now same thing from milli, all right? So to get to milli from base is 1, 2, 3 over, right? This is milli, 1 L, 2 L's. All right, so beyond milli, 1, 2, 3 over again is going to be the weirdest one to write out. right? It kind of looks like a swoopy U. That is a micro. Okay, so you could have like a microgram. So a milligram versus a microgram. Micro is 3 place values smaller. So it's 1,000 times smaller than a milliliter or a milligram or a milli whatever. Okay. Beyond micro, 1, 2, 3, is nano. Okay, so we talk about like a nanosecond, right? So a nanosecond would be 1,000, a million, a billionth of a second. A nanosecond would be 1 billionth of a second. That's an, oh, you know what? I didn't think about describing it that way. So you could think about it this way, right? If you're moving by, 3 decimal places at a time, you're talking about thousands, right? So a kilo is 1,000 times bigger than a base unit. Mega is 1,000 times bigger than a kilo, etc., right? So milli is 1,000 times smaller than base unit. Micro is 1,000 times smaller than a milli. And we even go one beyond nano, 1, 2, 3, which would be a pico, which is a P. And you're starting to talk about like, parts of an atom territory, okay? Talking about something that's a picogram or something, all right? Okay, so this would be my kind of expanded metric system. And you could, this would be a terrible question, all right, but you could convert between, giga and micro or something. I'm definitely not going to give that example. You could say something like this, right? You have 23 centiliters of some liquid. How many microliters do you have? Okay, so I'll just rewrite out this section here. All right, so from base, because King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Then I go 1, 2, 3 to get to micro. All right, so I start right here on centi, and I want to end right here on micro. So I'm going to move my decimal place 1, and then 2, 3, 4, right? Because this is 3 spaces between milli and micro. So I'm going to move my decimal place 4 times. So 23, decimal place is here, move it 1, 2, 3, 4. Fill it with zeros. So I get 230,000 microliters. Hopefully you get it. Not too terrible. You just transfer back and forth between the two. All right. Good luck.